Hey there, Facebook Landia. This is Jonathan Trotter coming at you from Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Um, this message has been burning on my heart for the last couple of days, and I'm not really excited to share it, but I feel like I really should, and I feel like if it helps a couple of people, then awesome. And part of the reason I'm hesitant is because this comes from a lot of pain, my own pain and other people's pain, and also because I think that this stuff seems so simple, and yet we seem to get it wrong so many times, over and over and over. And in my work now as a pastoral counselor, I feel like I'm dealing with the repercussions of churches and organizations, ministries that get this wrong. So, as someone who was sexually abused as a kid, as someone who lost a ministry position because I reported potential abuse of a child. Even as a mandatory reporter, I thought I was a mandatory reporter. I reported and ended up losing that specific ministry position. And as someone now who works as a pastoral counselor, I want to share this idea with you, this three spheres of offense. And so I'm going to post a link down below to an older article about how my parents responded when I told them about sexual abuse that had happened to me. So you can read that there, and I'm going to post a picture of this little bitty graph that may be helpful to somebody. So let's just go through this. Let's just take a couple minutes, and I'll let you get back to whatever you're doing. So. All right, seems really simple, but I don't know. We just forget this. There's one action. Let's just assume that the offense, the abuse, the crime was one thing. Okay. The three spheres of offense just means that there are actually three different areas, three different groups that were impacted by that one offense, by the perpetrator. You have God over here, if you're a believer, and I'm speaking from that perspective. God is impacted and offended by that abuse. The survivor, the victim, is of course impacted by the abuse, and then society, the community at large, is impacted by the abuse. And it seems to me that a lot of our problems, a lot of the reason behind why churches misreact sometimes to abuse within their midst or organizations is because we forget these three spheres. Okay, so this action down here, the perpetrator's action, is sin towards God. It's harm or abuse towards the survivor, and it's a crime towards society and towards community. And each of these areas, each of these spheres have a right to respond to that action in their own way. So God, of course, has a right to respond to that action in whatever way he chooses. The survivor has a right to respond to that action in whatever way he or she chooses. And the community or society has a God-given right, I believe, to respond to this action however the society chooses. So again, it's a sin towards God, abuse or harm towards the survivor, and a crime towards society or towards the community. That's why when we have the prosecutor bringing a case, it's called the state versus John Doe, or the United States of America versus so-and-so. Because as a community or as a society, we have decided that this behavior is harmful to people. Whether the survivor, whether the victim wants to press charges or not, sometimes that the prosecutor will take that into account. But in any case, the society has decided this behavior is wrong, and we don't want any part of it among our midst. And when a church forgets that the community, the society at large, has a right to respond, and when the church harbors or hides abuse, or when an organization does that, saying, well, God has responded to the abuser and God has forgiven the abuser, that might be true. That abuser may have repented. God might have forgiven that. I don't know. That's a little bit above my pay grade. The survivor, the person who was harmed or was abused, may have chosen to forgive, and they may be totally healed, and they may be fine. Even if those two things are true, the community, the society, still has the right to say, still to adjudicate this case. Do we prosecute the society gets to decide, do we prosecute? And then, of course, in a criminal case, is the person guilty or not guilty? And what seems to happen to me is that when the society finds out that the church has helped to hide abuse, assuming that, oh, everything's taken care of over here, everything's taken care of over here, community, the society hates that, and we just look like fools. And rightly so, because we, in our hiding of abuse, in our hiding of neglect, we are damaging the society and the community, and not giving the law the chance to respond in the way that God has ordained them to, and the way that they have a right to. So just something to consider, because I hear all the time people in leadership, not in churches I'm in right now, just to clear the air on that, but I've heard before and hear from clients sometimes that they get a lot of flack when they start talking, maybe even to authorities. Why is that? Well, God has forgiven this person, or it was a long time ago, or blah, blah, blah. And I say, okay, fine. What sphere are we talking about? We're talking about between the perpetrator and God. Okay, maybe so. That's between God and the perpetrator. Are we talking about the survivor? Are we caring about the harm, the abuse to the survivor? Maybe the survivor doesn't want anything to happen. Okay, that's fine, and maybe that's the right thing for that survivor. But we have to remember that there's another sphere here that does exist and is supposed to be there. And God gets to choose how to respond. The victim, the survivor, gets to choose how to respond. Whether they pursue healing, whether they pursue counseling, whether they stay super, I don't know, but they get to choose how to respond, and so does the community or the society at large. Now, if a church hides something for so long that the court system doesn't have the right anymore, let's say the statute of limitations has run out, I think that that's very terrible and unloving towards society that we are a part of, and the society knows it, and they don't like it so much. So this, again, this simple idea, but I think it has far-reaching impact. And it's late at night here in Phnom Penh, and I've been wrestling with how to get stuff set up or whether to show this or not. And I just want to speak from the heart and say that if you have been responded to poorly when you came out with your discussion, or with your finally sharing that this happened to you when you were a child, or abuse happened to you when you were a child, I want you to be heard. And if you haven't found anybody who will really hear you yet, please find. There are people out there who will listen to you, that you can find and give voice to your pain and find healing through community, through healthy community. And I just want to say a couple things, I guess, regarding abuse. This is in the article that I mentioned before, but the idea that people are innocent until proven guilty is a very, very helpful idea. I'm glad it exists. It's very important for the courts, but it's very terrible inside a church. The idea that the innocent until proven guilty, the gut response from the organization is to defend the accused. The default setting is to defend the accused. I'm glad that that's a part of our court system, but that should not necessarily be our response as an organization or as a church. False accusations are much less common than real accusations of abuse. And it's worth noting that allegations of abuse are often unbelievable. They're often unbelievable. The abuse is usually from somebody who is known to the family or to the organization. That's how it usually goes on for so long. The person is respected. They're known. They're not the creep. I mean, sometimes it is, but usually it's not the weird person that everybody gets the heebie-jeebies around. It's somebody who has authority. It's somebody who has power, and it's somebody who the organization or the church wants to protect. So, in our rush to defend the accused, well, I think we're not like Christ at all when we rush to defend the accused. I want us to rush to listen to the child or to the victim. That doesn't mean that we throw the accused under the bus. It just means that our stance is one of listening and one of hearing and one of initially believing, treating as real, as true, this person who has come to us with allegations. And that we would take the posture that Jesus most often took, and that is the standing in between the rich and the powerful and the poor, or the people who don't have the agency, who don't have the power. And too often our churches and organizations flip that, and our default is on the side of the powerful, the person who's already got the voice, who's already got the stage. And we really need to bend down like Jesus did, to be next to the person who is saying, I'm hurting. So may we do that. May we be Christ to people. May we come up alongside of them and love them well. So that's really all I've got to say. Thank you for watching, if you are watching. And may God bless you. Good night.